take it and pass it around.
Awesome, thank you.
I think we
Alright, we got a minute, guys.
You got them?
Watch your,
guys?
watch your stuff. This today's or what?
Yeah, that's the IT
Yes.
packet. You have.
I keep handing it, it's like handing a birthday cake, you keep handing it down.
Mr.
Yeah,
Oh, this is
a
cool.
very clean copy.
Give me a clean copy.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Public Works.
They said they wanted to go out.
Oh, okay.
They didn't want to be here.
Oh, okay, that's IT and public works.
They'll stop on and when it's their turn, they
Oh,
said.
okay, all right.
Alright, we got a minute, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, guys, we're live, so I guess we'll start the meeting here. We both have our members here, Joe Carmichael and Rich Leisure, so we're good there, everybody's here. Open forum, anybody wanna speak their mind about anything right now at this point? Nothing on open forum, thank you. Okay, first up is IT department, we're gonna discuss some key budget areas. It's Jim Franks and Randy.
Okay, so, Jim is out on medical leave, so we.
But he's on
Oh,
speaker.
he's on speaker.
okay.
Jim's on
all right.
speaker, Randy.
Hello, Monica.
Hi, Jim. So, Randy, do you just wanna go through anything that you propose for a change or have a,
A big thing that I wanted to point out for this year, because we do have some cost increases based upon our numbers for our cloud hosting systems, right? We've been slowly stepping our foot into the cloud by having a hybrid configuration where we have partially on-prem systems, partially cloud-related services. And some of the costs that we asked for last year were based upon us starting to enter the Microsoft Exchange Online. We're starting to realize those costs more in 2026 because that project wrapped up mid-year this year, so we're able to migrate there. We started migrating people last year around this time, did about, 40 or 50 mailboxes, and the rest of the people were done. So we're seeing a significant cost increase in our software.
What line
maintenance.
item is that?
Oh, pardon me, 5415, yeah.
5415, software maintenance, okay.
Yes.
under repairs and maintenance, 5415.
Okay.
So, in calculating those costs, we do try to be mindful of keeping, like our virtual systems. We do what's called a reservation, which we say we will buy that server for 3 years, and they will lower the cost by about 30 or 40%. But our realized costs for 2026 are gonna be having 475 mailboxes hosted in the cloud, all of the anti-spam requirements, which we just moved to Mimecast. We were on Symantec, that's kind of an antiquated product. Mimecast is a little more modern, and if you guys have been seeing the digest, we migrated to that last week Friday. Some other costs were also Dropsuite archiving and mailbox backups. Those things are no longer on-prem, and transferring that data to and from, everything has to kind of be done in cloud and kind of piecemeal through different services. So we saw that cost go up significantly, mainly because, as I said, it's been realized in 2026. We only had partial costs in 2025.
Okay.
So that's significant.
Okay.
Another item that has gone up is 5530, the network infrastructure.
Okay.
We're seeing those costs going up because that has a lot to do with the redundant internet products that we're planning on implementing multiple pipes between having City Hall have its own internet gateway. Right now, everybody goes through the PD to get to their internet access. We've updated internet here to sustain a higher volume of users. And when we have our file services and other systems in the cloud, we want the ability for each site to reach the cloud on their own, not dependent or independent of each other, right? And there's gonna be failover, so if the PD loses internet, they will route through City Hall. If City Hall loses internet, they route through the PD, and so we have some redundancies. That will obviously cost. Did you wanna say something, Jim?
Yeah, the point I want to expand on with that is it goes beyond just general IT, which is primarily what our department serves. In the world of public safety, we've seen both police and fire departments move in the last 2 or 3 years to cloud-based records management systems and computer-aided dispatch systems in Mark 43 and the fire department's equivalent. So to ensure that those systems and services are always available, specifically 911, et cetera, we have to design connectivity that allows for that failover and that redundancy that Randy mentioned. Unfortunately, that comes at additional cost, but it's requirements to ensure the continuity of government, especially as all of our operations, all of our muni operations, embrace cloud-oriented technology. So we're just catching up with some systems that have been in play to ensure, as we move forward, if any sort of major fiber cut or connectivity connection is lost from one provider, say AT&T, then the Crown Castle backup link takes over and vice versa. So it's a larger part than just general things that we deliver, like emails and files. It taps into the public safety initiatives that our first responders have embraced over the last couple of years. And it just is our piece of the puzzle, ensuring that these systems stay online and that our staff are able to carry out their jobs.
All right. Good. Anything else you want to point out, Randy or Jim?
Yes, last year we had an amended budget to reduce some of our costs. An issue with that in going into 2026, when we have fixed committed costs into our cloud services, if that is a bill we don't pay, and a lot of this stuff is done month to month, it's not an annual one-time fee, so if the bill doesn't get paid within a month, you can bet that within the month, the service will be shut off, and I don't know what it takes to actually reactivate services that don't happen to get paid. The budget, if any budget amendments need to occur, that money cannot be touched. It has to stay, otherwise we lose that service, and that could be your email service and the supporting aspects of that, which is the mailbox backup and the anti-spam components of it as well. So we have to be very careful. I think last year it was amended across the board in a general way, but we can't have that be touched. Overall, I mean, we saw some increase. We tried to shift things around and eliminate some of the other smaller costs. And there were a few other things that I noticed that we didn't actually make any expense on, so I kept just carried over the same, but it's like, I don't know, this 5625 is something I think is something we don't use, but we talked a little bit about that as far as maybe helping us purchase more computers. There is one thing I did want to bring up, and because it's outside of our normal refresh process, Windows 10 has kind of essentially is no longer supported by Microsoft, but we still carry it here at the City of Berlin. We did this through Windows 7 where we tried to phase it out when it was no longer supported, and eventually, I think 2 or 3 years ago, we got rid of the last system there. We refresh about 30 computers a year, about 1/5 or 20% of the overall computers in the city. We have about 70 computers that are running Windows 10 right now. And so our normal refresh is not gonna be able to accommodate all of those, plus that is just on the refresh. We have break fix needs, things along those lines, computers that die. And we can't cascade some of the older systems we're bringing in because they don't support Windows 11. Even though they may still run Windows 10 fine, Windows 10 may no longer be patched by Microsoft. And so that creates a area of exposure for us for potential hacking. So it's always a concern if we can't get systems patched with the latest security patches. So something that we've been trying to figure out, what do we do about it? We didn't increase that cost to pay for more computers. To buy 70 computers, we're still at the 30, but I wanted to bring that up. That's something I mentioned a little bit too. I'm not sure how quite to solve that riddle.
Okay.
And it was actually 5,800, not,
Line 5800?
yeah, it was
Okay.
5,800.
So, yeah, part of that was part of our hardware.
Yeah, so that's
cost
under the
increase.
capital outlay, we had discussed, we have because they didn't use any of those funds, maybe we could add some of those computers to that to help alleviate the overage of computers that need to be purchased.
Yeah, there's two sides of that coin. Funding to replace hardware is part of it, but another piece that is comprised within that 30 or so that Randy mentioned, running legacy Windows 10, is that we've got several situations around various departments where they're locked into legacy applications, specifically in records management environments that don't support Windows 10 yet. So it's like the chicken or the egg situation, right? You have scenarios where an operation requires a piece of software to conduct business, but that software refuses to run in Windows 10. And it's the same situation when we went from 7 to 10. So eventually, things will catch up, but we can't fully remove these older operating systems until the vendors, these smaller vendors in some cases, catch up with their applications. So we're kind of have to carry on that Windows 10 environment for at least a while in some controlled capacities. But the need to phase it out, in line with what Randy's saying, is critical, only because Microsoft has reached the 10-year end-of-life point. It was in October of this year with Windows 10. So yeah, it won't be actively supported much longer beyond a certain point unless there's critical patches that come out. So it's just something that we're trying to figure out how to time this with funding and vendor contacts to get the software involved, updated to the point where it will function effectively on Windows 11.
Micah, do you have a question?
Could you not run a system with Windows 11 and then do a virtual machine that's running an older version of Windows, or to support those?
We talk about Hyper-V, and we do make use of Hyper-V on server-grade technologies. There's some licensing concerns with that in terms of the initial cost if we had to run, say, a client-side workstation with a server-grade license to turn on those virtualization features. I mean, that's possible. But again, in terms of the end user, every layer of complexity sort of reduces the functionality. And quite frankly, some of these applications are 10, 15 years old, and their vendors either no longer support those products, or there'd be a 4 or 5 figure cost in purchasing new, and the need isn't there to support that. So again, we try to find the best solutions that make the most effective use of the resources that we have, knowing that we have to sort of carefully trek along those lines of upgrading versus maintaining where operations dictate.
How many vendors are left that need to update, that are outdated right now?
I can think of about 4 or 5. And again, they're not citywide vendors, right? They're office-specific uses. An example is something called UCC, which is something that our police department uses to streamline their reports creations, right? That is built on an old Access back end. And that vendor, we still have an agreement with them, but they are very, very slow to update. And we've had to go back to that vendor multiple times to recreate certain versions, certain builds of their application that would support Windows 10 and Windows 11. And it just becomes, difficult. So we know that it's going to be around for a while. However, now keep in mind, the endpoint or the end user's desk workstation is the lowest level of defense in terms of protecting from malicious actors trying to hack you, right? So there are multiple layers of security all along the wire that are keeping those people out. So it's not like these Windows 10 machines are publicly addressed with public IPs, and they're not directly available on the internet. So we insulate those and we silo those machines as much as possible, including off-network in a couple of specific police department uses where they are sort of in their own little, centralized environment that is completely separated from the rest of the environment. So we have tools that we can pull out and design that buy us time when there's not sufficient funding or cooperation from vendors, or large costs, right? That to update the system, which is something that you guys hear over and over again from all the departments that come to you with new project ideas where we want to change this or that, but it's going to cost this and that. And we run into that on the software side all the time.
All right. Anything else, Randy, you want to point out, or?
No.
Like every other department, your wages are up a little bit, and that's union.
Yeah.
And your healthcare, of course, is, we know what's coming there.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one other point that I'd like to talk about generally, and it has to do with a myriad of expenditure increases that are sort of peppered into our budget. they all come around cybersecurity initiatives, right? I mean, now that we are cloud-centric, now that our critical systems and critical data are living more in a government cloud, we have to introduce additional controls in terms of licensing layers, in terms of proactive security measures, even down to offensive education, where by that I mean where we are reaching out to staff and providing, training, coming to them. All of this becomes a higher priority for us as we are more cloud-centric, because the same tools that you use to insulate yourself when you're running an on-premise or an internal environment sort of change when you are depending on a third party to run your data. So an initiative that Randy and I recognized about 2 or 3 years ago, as this was building, as we've embraced more cloud technologies, is the need to put more resources in terms of staffing and finances into the proactive security of training of our users, right? And this is something that we really need to run into and continue to push forward as we get into 26, beyond the cybersecurity initiatives that we already have, in order to mitigate potential threats that are much more viable as our data lives in that cloud. So we have certain increases in terms of our infrastructure costs and some of our software licensing that will allow us to turn on features that provide more automated controls and mitigation technologies to help screen out bad situations from escalating into something that is uncontrollable. Anything you want to add to that, Randy? Because that's a big part of our discussion when we sit down and design these budgets.
No, well said, thank you.
Okay. Are you good, Randy?
I am.
All right, committee members, you have any questions at this time? Joe?
No.
Richard?
No.
Okay. Micah, question?
Just with regards to 5410, the hardware maintenance, a lot of this conversion is to cloud-based, and so, but I see this pretty substantial increase in terms of hardware maintenance, and I imagine we'll have to do less maintenance on servers and things that
We
operating.
run complex redundant firewalls for failover. They, in order to handle the level of bandwidth that's required, it's not really sized so much on how many users, it's actually how much connections come through the device. And we've seen that go up significantly. We've gone from a 1 gig circuit, which actually would not handle our needs right now, to a 10 gig circuit. To have the redundancy of the firewalls and the underlying technologies behind it. We also run ASE interconnectivity in between the sites that give us site links. All that hardware needs to have maintenance performed on it. We need to have spares on hand for when they fail. And it's just overall the complexity of refreshing those devices as well when they come up for not necessarily maintenance renewal, because some of them are hitting end of life. So we also have some that have to be purchased towards the end of next year,
And
end of 2026.
That all gets run locally instead of.
Yeah, you need to have the firewalls locally because you're accessing things here on-prem. This firewall doesn't matter if you're accessing your email from home.
Sure.
Because you're just going direct to the cloud. But for our workforce here, between all the sites that are working on our computers, we need these pieces of hardware. We have multiple firewalls, and as I mentioned, the complexity and the cost of these local high-end firewalls to have their own redundancy. What's nice about that is we can do maintenance on one and switch everybody over and all the connections, switch right over, and then do maintenance on the other and keep everything patched up to date, which is another thing that we have as part of our maintenance schedule. But if we don't patch that stuff, again, additional vulnerabilities. So that's where we're seeing some of these costs. We do have to purchase a new firewall to have redundancy here at City Hall. We only have one, we have two at the PD.
Well, and to that point, hardware maintenance is a very general category, and IT sort of gets the brunt end of the equipment that somehow has to do with us, which isn't necessarily ours from the outset. And I'll give you an example. If you go through the expenditures that we've recognized throughout 2025 in that particular GL account, overwhelmingly you'll see a vendor called Cummins. They support UPS and generator systems. And at the police station, which forever has been the core of our environment, there has been a generator running for 20 years since that building was built in 2001 that we have had to excessively pay to repair and to maintain throughout the course of the last 2 years. And so hardware maintenance also affects non-traditional IT equipment, ancillary equipment, including UPS systems and generators. And we have to fund those and can ensure that those operate as they are critical buildings with critical infrastructure. Now, the good thing about that particular generator that's 20+ years old is with the construction projects that have wrapped up at the station in terms of the expansion, there has been a new generator installed for the dispatch center. That generator is sufficiently sized, twice the size of the legacy generator. So we are working now with the police department to attach the building UPS, which provides that uninterrupted power, to that new generator. So we don't have to recognize costs to replace the legacy generator, right? So hopefully we're gonna see that at least that portion of the hardware maintenance in terms of repairing this 20+ year old generator, that's gonna be sunset as soon as we complete the transition of old generator to new generator. So the point I want to make with all that is that particular account pays for a lot more than firewalls and IT-centric equipment. It's also power generation, because that's a critical part of our operation. Without power, none of our systems can work. So where necessary, City Hall and PD primarily, my office has taken over responsibility for ensuring those critical power generation devices are properly maintained.
All right, very good. All right, well, thank you, Jim, thank you, Randy. I
Thanks,
think
Jim.
we're all good there. There
Thank
were
you,
no
everybody.
further questions, so,
Okay.
all right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Well done. All right. I'll call you in a bit, Jim. Thanks.
Have a good night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can we hold on to it,
Ready, guys? All right.
or hold on to it, or?
No.
All right, now we have a Public Works Department. We have Nicole and John from Public Works here.
How are you? Good, how are you? Thank you.
So, we know when you're ready. All right, who's gonna start? Nicole, John?
No, I'll walk
Yes,
through.
yeah.
From there, and then any questions, I'll be more than
All right.
happy to answer what we can.
First, we'd like
We have
to,
no crazy requests, so. should be-
we'd like to welcome John Marchand, our Public Works Director, and Nicole Campbell, our Senior Engineer, to our Budget and Finance Committee meeting. What we'll do is we will go through first the General Fund, Public Works, Streets, and Fleet Department. And then we will, the next fund we will go look over is the Utility Fund, which involves primarily our water, water billing, as well as our garbage collection, our garbage, waste removal services.
Sure.
But first, our streets, if we look at our revenues, the only revenues on the streets department is reimbursements for damages caused to street lights, any sort of equipment, public works equipment. So it's really hard to gauge what the revenues will be. We just kept the projections the same as last year.
Same as 25?
Correct, it's running. And those are revenue totals. As far as the streets department, the salaries and wages are primarily a combination of, primarily union. So the budget is dictated on the existing roster for streets workers, as well as the accompanying benefits for the current rosters of streets employees. And as we mentioned in previous meetings, the insurance end, the health insurance end, we are projecting a significant increase, about 21%, and that's based on our most recent premiums. So we will realize a larger budget than the 2025 budget for those categories. We'll then go into the general operating cost, and perhaps, you know, the bigger ticket items are your vehicle, gas and oil, you know, the cost of you know, our vehicles, you know, servicing, doing the street sweeping, and as well as the snow removal. Those are primarily the gas that's needed for those vehicles to operate. Supplies, John, I mean, as far as, that's another bigger ticket, but those are all the supplies needed for the equipment.
Correct, yeah,
Yes.
that's,
Yeah.
oil filters, blades for plows,
Mhm.
salt for the platforms, you know, that's separate from the regular MFRT, or
Yep.
that's used for the rock salt, so we have to use a different
Yeah.
salt substance for the platforms and for the parking garage.
Gotcha.
That's where they come out of there.
Okay. You know, so that's the drivers of the general operating cost. It's similar, we're projecting for not as similar than the 2025 budget. The next category, though, is professional services, and the driver of that expense is primarily our trees services. The tree, you know, removal.
Outside services?
Outside services for
I'm projecting that to go a little bit lower this year.
a little bit lower based on recent and historic trends, but it's still higher than, but we're still budgeting higher just to be conservative, because, you know.
Storms and such.
Right, we don't,
Yeah.
correct.
Yep, for that. For repair and maintenance, those are other, as well as your repair and maintenance landscape. Those items, John, I mean, again, it's, you know, the materials and the service needed to keep our streets, you know, the pothole repairs.
Pavers on Cermak Road when a water main breaks, stuff
Yeah.
in particular into that.
Yep.
You know, so we can make our repairs.
And indeed, the repair and maintenance, landscape, of course, if it so happens that the city needs additional help besides the existing staff, that's where in a bad winter, you know, where there's snowfall, you know, those costs can really accelerate.
In past years, we would have to bring in a separate company to haul snow away for us.
Yep.
You know, you see on the winters, how
Yeah.
we can't gauge those.
And that's why we're keeping that amount higher, just as a conservative measure. So, I mean, those are the items that are primarily driving the, you know, the repair and maintenance costs. Then we fall into the lease and installment loan expenditures, and of course, these are our existing installment loan agreements, as well as we just, you know, went into an agreement for an additional sweeper. Is that?
Yes.
Yep.
Vacuum sweeper to stay compliant with our green alleys that we have. We can't put our regular sweepers down these alleys, they have to be vacuumed. And with the amount that's coming in now, in order to do them in a timely manner, you know, we had a small machine, but it would take us a week and a half, 2 weeks. And that was basically locked in just for that. Now with the addition of this vacuum sweeper, we'll be able to do the alleys, green alleys in a day, but then we could also flip it over to do regular street sweeping also. So it's a, you know, it's a double.
It's a double,
Yeah,
okay.
really helps out tremendously.
The alleys and all the permeable paver
Right,
areas
around,
too.
especially around the depot area and that now, because you can't use regular sweepers in there per se.
Oh, on top of those new.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it works out well, money well spent.
Okay. We're on to what, fleet now?
We're on to fleet. In prior years, you know, we were able to welcome an additional person to, you know, to work in the fleet department, where in prior years, we didn't have that person in place. And of course, that's where you see the higher professional services and repair and maintenance costs in prior years. Eventually, they'll transition, is that?
Yeah, we were without a mechanic for a number of years, only because of the fact that mechanics were in high demand. There was If you found a mechanic, you were really lucky. We got lucky 5-6 months ago. We've got a great mechanic, so now we're able to do a lot more in-house, where before we were always, had to send everything out. We would do patchwork here and there by ourselves, but now we have a certified mechanic on staff, and
Right.
it's bringing the costs from outsourcing down, but our supplies are gonna go up now because we're doing.
Right, correct, yes.
So, you know, with those items, we can't total, I mean, you know, that's what's gonna drive our supplies cost because of all the supplies needed for our fleet mechanic to utilize, so that's gonna be a higher budget.
So you were conservative on that.
Correct. And then our, you know, again, as John mentioned with professional services, you know, we're budgeting slightly lower, but indeed, as the years go on, that it's possible for that line cost item to go lower, but we just wanna keep it at higher because of transitionary purposes.
Okay.
And more or less that, I think that's more or less the driving items as far as fleet goes.
I mean, overall, it looks pretty comparable to 24 or 25.
We don't have to, as of right now, there's no foreseen big ticket purchases for this year. With the addition of the mechanic, we're able to put
Yeah.
a lot of our stuff that would have had to gone out, we'll take care of it, so we'll get 2, 3, 4 years, maybe more out of vehicles now. So we won't be
Are we
purchasing.
fully staffed at this time at Public
As of
Works?
right now, we're fully staffed. If there's any hiring, it'll be through replacements.
Replacements.
Yeah, so if a guy retires, quits, moves on to greener pastures, then at that point, we'll make a hire. But as of right now, there's no
Nobody.
hiring going on.
Okay. All right, any members have questions? Rich?
On the streets.
Yeah, well, on the street, so, I had a question from a resident. Do we even have a capacity for bike lanes and most of our streets?
Design-wise,
Yes, to actually have
no,
designated,
no.
okay.
Well, if you want the city to pay for them 100%, yes. Otherwise, if we get MFT funding from FHWA, IDOT, we have to follow their standards. So, it has to be a 12-foot travel lane and a 5-foot bike lane, and then you have your curb and gutter. So unless you want to widen the roads, take out the parkways and all the trees,
Okay, so
bike
it's-
lanes are nearly impossible.
Okay.
Like, we tried to analyze 34th Street for bike lanes, and again, you have to take out the parkways and all of the mature trees, cause the road would have to be widened, and that's dictated by where we get our money, our funding.
Okay, so we're landlocked and we're.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have shared routes posted all over, we do have a bike route map. But even with Sharrows, we couldn't do Sharrows on East Avenue because it's not wide enough.
What are Sharrows?
Where it's got the bike symbol and the arrows like this, it's used to indicate a shared use. And even I tried on East Avenue with ITEP funding, and it didn't match IDOT standards.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
That's it, Richard?
Yes.
Joseph, any questions?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Micah, you good? All right. Ben, you wanna add something?
No.
Micah?
No.
No? Okay.
Actually, I do. You wanna let them know about the, water mains that you handled this year?
As far as a total number,
No, just that we were trying to prevent that from years moving forward, so you see
Oh,
something in
yes.
the budget that increased around that because he had a lot of water mains to,
There were a lot of,
install.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
And we were
breaks
gonna-
this year,
Nicole is looking at it right now, as long as Monica, Nicole's gonna try and get us some money. bringing our pump rooms into the 21st century.
Okay.
Where my water operators, Chris and Howard, in an instant, whether they're at home or vacation or whatever, the fire department calls and says, we need more water on 16th and Gunderson, they'll have the capability to go on their phone, bring the pumps up in for that particular area.
Wow.
So that's, to me, very important.
What do they gotta do now? Get out there and
It's
crank it?
manually,
Yeah.
no, it's manually, somebody's gotta come in, hopefully, we have enough pressure to keep them going, but if it becomes a 2 or 3 building fire.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna require a lot, and they'll be able to divert it, right now, we have to do that manually.
Okay.
So with what we're trying to purchase.
Yeah.
And bring it up there, I mean, it's instantaneous, I mean,
Right.
it's a safety issue.
Sure, without
You
doubt,
know,
yeah.
so.
For sure.
So is that in the budget for next year already, or is that, are we just looking for?
Nicole's gonna
grants?
try and find us some money, and we'll go from there, we're shopping around, looking around, and hopefully we can do that. I know that there's talk about bringing the meters into the 21st century, so that people can pay their bills, but to me, I feel more important that a firefighter or anybody has that capability to have that water right now. So, if we could dance around that issue, you know, we will, but that's something as far as Chris and Howard are, they'd say that the help for that would be incredible.
Yeah, for this system that we're talking about, there are several grant opportunities that are out there or yearly for, energy efficiency, emergency preparedness, this would all qualify under such things, so we're very hopeful.
So what's a cost, a regular, an estimated cost on something like that?
I'm just
It could go
curious.
as high as $250,000 and as low as 150, 175.
Okay.
You know, so it's a small price, but we'll work on that when we find out when the gifts from the money
Might be
tree
able
come
to
in.
get some grant money and.
Yeah, exactly, and then we'll go ahead and then we'll go after that more aggressively, but,
Right, and there's offsets, on, staffing and how much damage would occur to an area with the delay of getting the more
Water
water,
pressure there.
stuff like that, so that all has to be considered.
What was that other project you were talking about with the water meters, getting them updated so people pay their
They're-
bills? What was that?
they're looking into that now, I believe.
So currently, the majority of the city has smart meters for the water meters at their homes. So currently what happens, they all have little radios on them, and Howard, who's our main person with the water department, has to drive every single street to pick up the water meter reads. There is a product that's out there, is basically a few different areas around us have them, including Brookfield. So what it is they go ahead and put up 2 satellites. There's the initial cost, obviously, but after that, you just have to pay for the software updates. Those automatically pick up all the readings for all the meters instantaneously, like in real time. So that way, Howard wouldn't have to actually spend his time driving and picking up the water meter readings. But it would go automatically, and then the water department would have the software to see all the readings, and the software is smart enough where it would show you all of a sudden where there's extra usage of water, because one of our main problems that we have is our old infrastructure and the old water mains that we have. And so this would help us find those leaks a lot faster, which would save us money, because I know Ben, in many years, over the years, he's just always telling us how much money we're losing because of the old leaks, old leaky water.
Yeah, the
So-
non-billable,
And
hemorrhaging
then it
water.
would also have software where anyone could actually see the water usage in their house on a real-time basis. So that way when a lot of times people will come in and they'll be like, why is my water so high this month? And then Howard will go out and check it out, and a lot of the times it might be a leaky toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that'll increase, so your water bill might go up in that 3-month period, $800 because of one leaky toilet.
Yeah.
So this would give the capability to any of the homeowners to see real time. So basically, if you're not home, your water's being used, you have a problem.
Yeah.
And the cost of this is,
The cost of the,
because there's a lot of meters that still haven't been brought up to specs yet, so.
correct, so
There's
those can
quite an
be,
outlay for that.
yeah, so those can be done to make sure all of those are picked up little by little. But I think was the cost, was it like 170,000 or something
Yeah,
like that?
it was
Yeah.
around about.
For the initial
that.
cost, and that includes the 2 satellites. After that, it's just basically, just I think that also included like the first 4 years of software.
Mhm.
So then after the first 4 years, then you just have to pay for the maintenance of the software. So I would be really curious to see how much money we lose on a yearly basis on just lost water, because of the old utilities, to see, cause I know we'll be saving money once we can locate those a lot faster. I'm just curious to see how long it'll take to recoup the funds.
Yeah.
Cause this is more like, this is like, any homeowner use their house, you have old things you gotta replace, and this way, if you're more on top of it, you can see what can be done to save money in the long run.
Do you have any idea, Ben, or you just?
You know, as far as exact dollars, I don't have the exact dollars, but I can definitely attest to, it's a worthwhile capital expenditure that I believe it's a reasonably quick payout as far as years go.
Okay.
With the investment, because indeed, I do see as far as the volume and the usage, and the range has been somewhere between 15%, the gap as far as what we're able to bill versus what we're paying the city of Chicago. It's improved somewhat in the last couple of years, but it's, and that alone justifies, moving
Get into
forward
the
and.
system.
And then that software, it's kinda cool because then hopefully by the end of next year, we're gonna be updating. We have the Tyler software program that we currently have for our HR portal, for, just our ERP program. And we're gonna look to expand it, to our licensing and then to our utility billing. So that way, once we're doing your utility billing, that'll be incorporated with the census software, so people can see hand in hand how it works.
So when would a possible target year be for such a thing?
Hopefully,
We'll be talking April.
We're thinking
because I
next
think
year.
I think our quote.
so
is
everything was
April.
based off of waiting till we went cloud-based. So hopefully by the end of November, we'll be completely cloud-based.
I'm just
So-
asking because, as all these major water main projects, everybody's getting new meters as part of that. So there's gonna have to be some sort of coordination or determination on, the people that got the new meters as part of their new service line.
So it's the same company. So Census, who we buy all the water meters from, is the same one works with the satellites and the software. So everything is by one company, which makes it a lot easier, the coordination, so you don't have any hiccups between different brands, which is nice. So they're our current provider that we're using, that Howard works day in and day out with. So all of the meters coordinate with the software. So there's no big change. And then as we keep on updating, the different houses, you can swap them out, and that'll just still go hand in hand with the new products.
So are we looking to do both of those projects, or it sounded like we were prioritizing the pumps over that?
Well, Nicole is over that part of it.
We're doing
over
the pumps.
The pump, yeah, so it's two
The meters are
separate.
going through City Hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's two separate entities
Got
that's
it.
gonna come in together,
Okay.
yeah, with engineering and with the city hall people.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Is that it?
What percent of the the meters are the new ones that would coordinate with the system? Approximately,
Oh, I have that information on my computer. I did not bring it with me. I was not prepared to present on this tonight, but I can look it up for you.
Okay.
I have it because when we started looking at this about a year and a half ago, they did an audit on where everything is. I worked with Howard and our water departments and their former director on that with our
current provider, which works with all the census meters. So I do have those, if you like, I can find them for you. If you shoot me an email, that'll be a better reminder, and then I can find it for you tomorrow.
Cool. All right, very good.
Well, I just should say to all of you, I don't know who was involved, I've been in the biz for many years in the construction and painting. The water tank, our water tower is stunningly beautiful. It really is. Every time I go down East Avenue.
It was scary when I was up there,
I-
Rich, and, you know,
I'm sure
the
it was.
roller, you could only take so much paint up at a time.
Yeah, I remember those days, but it is really, really, it really
Good.
stands
Yeah,
out.
cleaned it up nice.
Yes.
They did a fine job.
I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to get
All right,
it.
well, thank you
I
very
got
much.
it. We got a plan of field.
You guys are done? Yeah, we need to turn those in at this point.
So, no, I meant like, isn't there the utilities fund one as well, or no?
Well, do we go through everything, Ben, or?
Well,
Did we have the,
now that, you're segueing into our utility fund.
right,
And you more or less covered a lot of the aspects of the expenditures in the utility fund.
right.
Okay.
And that's 500, and just an overview is, of course, the utility fund, the funds come from our water and garbage bill payments that are made, and that's showing up in the revenues, not only with water, but it's also garbage fees, waste removal. And of course, our rates are, as far as the water, commercial and residential, that's all set by ordinance. And of course, the objective of the ordinance, we went through an extensive surveys and set forth the ordinance based upon, you know, our needs to update our infrastructure and the projects that we all just talked about here. So, like I said, the growth and the revenues are affiliated with the rates set by the ordinance. The other thing to consider is our garbage. You know, we're on the second year of our contract with SBC, and feedback overall has been I mean, positive as far as I'm concerned, but what's any feedback as far as how things are going with the new waste hauler at SBC?
I have no issues with them.
Yeah.
When I need to contact them, they're very receptive and react immediately, so.
Yeah.
We got a lot less customer calls, residential calls. And part of that's based off of SBC actually has customer service that picks up the phone when a resident calls. I know I've called from my house, you know, regarding, once it was missed or something like that. I get someone right away. All their people speak Spanish and English, which is helpful, and a good percentage of the people who work there are actually from Berwyn too, so they actually know the Berwyn streets. So we've been getting a lot fewer complaints from residents, whereas we would get at least a couple, 3, 4 calls in one day, to maybe, in my office, maybe 4 calls a week. You know, so it's been a major reduction in complaints that we've been receiving.
And cost-wise is within reason, contractual increases are very reasonable. As far as, you know, our professional service line item on the expense, you know, as far as our projection, we're just keeping the same projection as, last year's budget.
Yeah, and next year they're gonna be, to promote the composting, it's a opt-in program for residents. They're actually gonna be lowering the cost dramatically, just to get more people to try to compost. So, last year they did a segment with one, I forget which news agency that actually covered and showed the location where the products go, how the composting process is from start to finish. So that was an interesting segment. I think we might have a link to it on our website, but next year we're gonna be promoting that, cause composting with yard waste goes from April 1st to December 31st.
So, again, you know, moving to the expenses, you know, water-related expenses are, you know, another key driver. You know, we have our staff, you know, yes, we have contractual increases. We also have our health and benefits insurance increases that dictate the projected 2026 budgeted expenses. Again, all the supplies that are the general operating supplies is is the biggest, area there. John, as far as most of your equipment and necessary things needed to.
Sure. They go hand in hand with
Yep.
the streets department.
Yep. The next section is your professional services. Again, engineering, required to keep, the water service, required analysis of our existing system. We're keeping that cost conservative. And then, of course, you have our ERP system, that's a big, for the requirements needed to maintain our building and things like that. Repair and maintenance, again, these items come up. John has just explained that whenever we have water main breaks, to resolve those issues involve the professional services as well as our repair and maintenance in order to resolve the issues that we encounter. You had mentioned though, John, is that, the water main breaks, that occurred, were significant and the effort needed to resolve that, but
Yeah. we
Going
go through it.
Yeah.
What it consists of to do a water main break is, needless to say, dig the ground out, those are spoils. We have to pay to have the spoils hauled away. We haul them, but where we take them to, we have to pay for that. Then we have to make the repair, we have to backfill, then we have to concrete, and then we have to asphalt. So it's, the entire public works department is in on a main break to bring this street back to being functional like it was before the main break.
And that's just an example, Joe, is what you're saying, the difference between what we're able to bill versus what the city of Chicago.
The unforeseen.
The water mains drive, that variance
Mhm.
and everything, so.
But you guys have been doing a great job on Ogden Avenue with your
That's with
schedule.
that Shrine and
Switching
with
up the-
Burke and with
Mhm.
Nicole. We've minimized our problems dramatically. They've been very helpful. I hope the rest of the projects that we have go this smooth too, so. We got through the water tower, we got through the other water tank, we have one more set of water tanks on 19th. That'll be refurbished come spring, and that's already taken care of, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's not even an issue.
The only other thing I wanted to point out is, next page, cost of water. That's one of our biggest, if not the biggest expense, that's the city of Chicago. And
That's going up, huh?
yes, it's somewhere around 5 to 7% that we're projecting the city of Chicago. One thing I wanted to also, talk about is that in a few years that city of Chicago is going from a regular percentage increase to cost of water. I've been able to attend numerous sessions with the Chicago Joint Water Commission, and the efforts to involve the neighboring municipalities in being able to come up with the right cost structure as far as what the city's trying to do. Is there are capital expenditures that are needed at two of the processing plants where you have your Sawyer and then you have the plant that's next to Navy Pier.
Jardine.
Yeah, Jardine, that's it. And it's if you ever want to go on a tour, I mean, the security is pretty stringent, but indeed, they're trying to incorporate that in the cost and that structure. They've given us preliminary reporting as far as where Berwyn is. It's just a lot of engineering, speak, which is not one of my bigger specialties, but we're evaluating that reporting, and we'll report in the months ahead. They're targeting 2030 as far as implementation date, so we're just trying to get out ahead of it. But in the meantime, the years leading to that, expect at least 5% an increase for the cost of water going to Chicago. So.
And we have those rate increases built in for the next couple of years, right?
Yes.
Do you know how long those are through?
We just did one.
Oh, you mean our billing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billing is through 2027.
And so-
Yep, for that, so, and we'll go through the same process we did a few years ago as far as surveys and things like that to determine. The remaining items, you know, just involved capital water, primarily driven by water main replacement. In addition, you know, we do have our expenses for the flood mitigation program that our residents have been able to, you know, take advantage of. Nicola, any further commentary on funding sources for the flood mitigation from Cook County? Is that still?
No, they gave us a budget and we're
Yeah.
getting close to using it all up.
Mhm.
I always ask if they have more, so I will
Yeah.
continue to be a rock in their shoes.
Great. Yeah.
We like that.
All right, all these other expenses seem to be in line here.
Yes, yeah. Finally, with our water billing staff, you know, that's the only other
Okay.
area for that.
All right, any questions, members, on the utility fund? Joe?
No.
Richard?
No.
All right. All right, guys, you
We're
good?
good.
Okay, well, thank you guys.
Thank
Now we're
you.
done. Appreciate it, turn those in if you would at this point.
Oh, no. I wrote on mine.
I did too.
You want that?
Yeah.
If you wanna check my notes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I used to work at Jardine 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's quick.
All right, guys, do you have any new business we need to talk about, Monica? Madam?
Oh, okay.
When's the next,
Next,
budget move?
Well,
What do you think?
the timeline is that,
Yeah.
we're poised to, present a draft at the cow meeting, December the 9th.
Okay.
We're targeting that date, so that this way, it'll be the same date that we're, actually putting a tax levy for passage. However, this coming Tuesday, we're gonna present the property tax levy
On
options.
Wednesday.
On Wednesday,
The
forgive me,
12th,
yes.
because November 11th is a holiday,
Yeah.
so it will be on the 12th.
Yes.
We'll have Cal and to present the tax levy.
Options.
Yeah.
But indeed, the 9th, we're gonna, present the drafts of the budget for consideration, and then, target the last council session, which is the 23rd, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the 23rd, I think
Yeah.
it's the 23rd. The
Yeah.
25th is a Thursday, the 24th is a Wednesday, so the 23rd, that
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yep.
all right,
Sounds good.
very good. Okay, motion to adjourn?
I make a second.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Oh. It's really because of these. That was with him. I would give it away if I get my buckets, Christmas presents. No, I mean, we won't be short on that, so that's just a question. I have roses. 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah. My sister goes, hey,